suddenly the world's best AD carries, junglers, and everything else were available. Probably not going to be the story this time around. Doinb was the only member that really still have a bit of a question mark. I felt like Godv could really overtake that lane, and that's on a Morgana, about as defensive a pick as you can make.
Yeah, well, the bans so far are going to be going relatively similar to how they went in the last series. Maokai is going to be the deviation here, as V's not going to pick that one up. And we'll see what QG decide to do now that they're on the red side here. Their champion select to come through, their drafting was beautiful in the previous game. You mentioned the fact that they did manage to solidify some really power picks for themselves, and the Kalista was their first pick, used to fantastic effect, and in fact banned away now on the blue side.
And it's Imp's Kalista that was so impressive throughout the season after initial hump, so I'm surprising them banning it on blue. I thought they could know 100% that Kalista would be the 6th ban coming through from QG here, just because you can't give Imp that champion. It was banned throughout the LPL final. But so much respect giving through. Obviously, they're valuing another first pick. Remember, you're always conscious that it's not really a meta where first pick is super important. It feels like the second round of pick, you can get 2 power picks in that situation as well. Nunu's banned away. A lot's powerful, a lot's available. Gragas makes it through picks and bans again. Where will LGD start?
Well, the Cassiopeia is most definitely available here. Of course, a lot of the mid lane champions have snuck through. Godv definitely going to be able to play that one. Just his control play of these mages in the mid lane is beautiful to see, and Flame's going to lock that one away. There
was the Riven flash there. I thought you would have enjoyed that.
I liked it a lot.
You just missed it. But Cassiopeia, Azir's available. That's the traditional matchup. Of course, we saw EasyHoon rock both sides of that matchup in the LCK finals. But the skill matchup is available. Cassiopeia really becoming a destructive force throughout the meta. Even Hooney throwing it up the top lane against as a counter pick to Nah. So quite a flexible first pick Cassiopeia. Hecarim's available. Hecarim's locked in.
Yeah, I find it very interesting as well, considering Flame's summoner spells that have come through already.
He's not going to have the summons.
Come on, let a man dream.
There's going to be a time.
Yeah, V is going to lock away the Hecarim here, and we do have Alistar now for TCT there on the bottom side. It was banned away in the previous series, as LGD now looking to pick up what they want. Godv thinking about Nah here for Flame, as TBQ does have his pick of the litter as far as these junglers are concerned, apart from Nunu.
It makes a lot of sense to go with the Nah. It's been Flame's most impressive champion. Thinking about support choices, PYL does like the Leona, but early round Leona, I guess you've already got the CC tank Alistar, so you want to match it with something. Leona or Nautilus, those are your options, both very realistic.
Yeah, and TNT now hovering over a Vayne. Of course, known to pick up Vayne in some interesting situations, but still manages to make them work, and we'll see whether it's going to happen this time. Of course, Alistar Vayne sort of historically has been noted as a relatively effective lane.
Saw Alistar Vayne against Sivir earlier in the day, and it went very, very well. Got the pick of AD carries in this particular situation. Gonna actually go with the Sivir. Will Imp be the one to pull out the Vayne? That's the question.
Yeah, QG now looking for a little bit of a later power spike, but with that Sivir there, they're going to have a whole heap of wave clear to help them get there. LGD are going to have their options now cut out for them. Doinb is going to be able to lock in the Gragas here for Swift, who was thinking about the Rek'Sai. As Imp, he's just going to lock away Tristana.
Wow, the instant lock Tristana. Tristana versus Kalista, that was a matchup that we thought we might see, just because Tristana can really stand in auto trades. Didn't go so well for Deft in
it most
MSI, though. But wow, instant locking in the Tristana. Not sure what really about the QG team that caused them to want to instantly lock it in. Of course, Tristana's big strength is turret taking very fast now that you can throw that bomb onto the turret and explode it for extra turret damage. LGD doing something different. The insta-lock Tristana. Didn't see it coming.
No, certainly didn't. Although, I mean, I guess it does sort of make a little bit of sense considering the Alistar pickup. Maybe it just wants to be able to negate the headbutt with a buster shot, but that's a larger cooldown, you have to think. But it is going to be TBQ locking away the Rek'Sai. We saw him play that a whole lot throughout the earlier split, and he is away from the sort of classic Cinderhulk tanky junglers here, maybe with a little bit more early skirmishing prowess. And Doinb now with his choice for the mid lane, and we'll see what he decides to take into the Cassiopeia, and it's the Morgana yet again.
This is a really painful matchup for Morgana. Literally, she throws down the puddle and then just has to get out of lane.
Hightail it, yeah.
She doesn't really have any other options, so I really don't like the matchup for Morgana. I don't know if this is just a champion pool thing. Maybe it's just, again, suddenly you have a very early power spike in the mid lane, so it's only Hecarim that's really early towards the late game, so maybe it's just trying to repeat that strategy, but not picking for lane is all I can say about picking Morgana into Cassio.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really question it here. I mean, QV utilizing the Morgana in a losing matchup in the last game, and it worked out beautifully well here as the coaches do shake hands. We are going to be hopping into the second one. LGD probably hungry to take a victory as we go through the lineups.
They
Flame
look good
against
for LGD.
V.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
All across the map, they look good for LGD. Gragas versus Rek'Sai. Okay, that's a bit of a toss-up. Both of them very strong early gankers, but Cassio versus Morgana. It's not happy times for Doinby. Maybe he won't die once again, but it's going to be a bit like we saw at MSI. You can exit lane, you can do fine, you can chip away, but it's certainly not a positive matchup. It's not a Zia, which, to be honest, fits this comp just fine. Yeah,
this is the thing, and as we head down the lineup, it is going to be TCT previously more against Fan's Nautilus, and Fan was on sort of the non-interactive Jan, and we'll see whether he can make the plays now that he's picked up the Nautilus.
I mean, the big thing to me is if LGD push in their lanes, you know, you've got someone like Tristana who can get those auto attacks down, fast push. You expect Cassio to be overextended, pushing into Morgana. You expect Nah to win the top lane matchup against Hecarim. I think win lane, win game. That's the way to go here for LGD. The strategic play, it fell down without PYL in the lineup, but just focus on your lanes and take out this game.
Yeah, well, it's true, and we'll see whether, you know, forced now to play a slightly different playstyle, whether QV are going to fall over or whether they're going to demonstrate the fact that this team can adapt on the fly.
Yes, that's the big question mark here is QG. They looked so impressive in Game 1. I don't feel like the draft's been quite as kind to them as it was in Game 1. They're sticking with the Morgana even though it doesn't really fit the lane matchup. It's a risk, but we'll have to wait and see.
It most certainly is, but ladies and gentlemen, let's get onto the Rift. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, for LGD taking on QG, Game 2 for our third series of the night. Godby caught out just a little bit as he throws down a little bit of that poison. Doinby takes a bit of damage there, and the movement speed can help Godby get away. And QG just milling about here at the beginning, but you can see the early warding for LGD, making sure that they see exactly what's going on towards that top side of the map.
It's two pretty powerful level 1 comps. You've got Alistair Morgana for big CC. You usually skill the Ricochet versus Sivir. There's a lot of AoE damage, so you can expect QG to have been looking to be on the front foot, but LGD have actually been the ones to feign aggression. But strong level 1s meant poking around, and that's the big win. Godby's actually done a lot of big things here, because suddenly he's got an extra 6, 7, 8 stacks on that passive. Getting it rolling. If you ever hit poke at level 1 with that Q, you feel great if you're Cassiopeia.
Yeah, and wanting to get that extra spellbound very early on. You can see actually so aggressive here in this mid lane as Flame's going to get headbutted against the wall. Nice little bit of extra CC, but takes some minion damage from it as this lane swap for Flame working out relatively well. Flame just tends to get lane swapped on every single time he pokes his head onto the Rift.
Flame has had a very sad existence in the LPL, becoming a Rumble main, never getting a 1v1 matchup, watching his teammate play Cannon and just being like, I wish I could play that. He doesn't get any of these options. It's done pretty admirably, and Doinby, he's just taking every Q. This is going to be a very fast Cassiopeia in terms of stacking up that passive.
Yeah, well, it's true. Doinby trying to utilize the Morgana's passive as best he can, but Godby using that Twin Fang just to farm this one out underneath the turret. And you have to think as soon as this Cassiopeia can have their way with the minions, it is going to be a very different experience here for Doinby, who has the wave clear advantage at the moment.
Look, it's certainly not an ideal Cassiopeia lane matchup. Of course, if there was no range pushing option for Morgana, if she had to respect the zone of control of the poison, it would be a more prototypical Cassiopeia excellent matchup. But this is all she can do is just walk in, take a Q usually, and then try and push the minion. She has no other wave control. So although she's not getting denied CS, she's not really controlling the wave.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Doinby able to clear out a lot of these minions, but misses the cannon. Oh, dear.
I had this chat with Patreon Time earlier. It's harsh, man.
Oh, it's an awful experience. Missing cannons.
Oh.
Yep, does manage to nail it there on the top side, though. Thank you, Fan. I'm not going to make us feel that pain twice in a row here as Flame is able to pick up a lot of this farm. 8-5 now as far as these top laners are concerned. Triumphant Roar does actually enable Flame to pick up that last hit. Thank you very much, TCT. Is Flame now able to secure this one as, of course, the 1v1 matchup now of Hecarim versus Tristana here on the bottom side, and V struggling a little bit here against the little Meglin Gunner.
I don't know how LGD have pulled off this lane matchup. It's actually wonderful for them because Hecarim, we mentioned it multiple times, has what, 350 range on the Rampage, no other range farming. Now you're getting fast pushed by a Tristana, can just throw the bomb onto the turret. There's no safe place for Hecarim to position under the turret if he wants to pick up CS, doesn't want to get denied further. So he'll take bomb damage and watch his turret gets chipped down super, super fast. So the result is basically Tristana having her way with bot lane turret, and Hecarim doing his best to pick up experience, but certainly not CS. Only 8 so far.
Yeah, Fan in a lot of trouble, though. Does have to flash away. There's the dredge line as well. Gets chilling smited, but it is going to be QG backing away. I thought Fan was definitely dead.
Scuttle Crab, the speed up there was the big actual win that actually let him open up a little bit of distance. But yeah, it did actually seem surprisingly defensive. Maybe just an extension of the fact that Cassiopeia probably going to be a bigger teamfight impact as the turret dives on.
Yeah, teleport to come through. A second one here on the bottom side, though, as B does have the defense of his mid laner as well. We didn't mention the fact that Morgana also picked up the teleport, but wants to make sure they can maintain control of this map. But 2 teleports burnt for the price of 1 here. LGD will take that.
But at least Doinby understands, okay, I'm going to lose this lane. I might as well take teleport to just hope to have an impact in other lanes, or just teleport back to lane to ensure my turret doesn't go down early. So in the 1v1, absolutely understands the strategy of puddle, then run away.
Oh, there's a flash pulverize, though, as Flame's going to head back into the team. Flashes and bounces, creates a whole bunch of distance, and Fan takes another smite, but they are going to be safe here in the end. Flame with some nice moves under pressure.
Yeah, when the minion wave lines up, the casual 1000 range bounce coming through. Very, very nice. And Flame lives to fight another day.
Yeah, not too bad at all as Godby there with 45 CS there to the 35. 10 CS, not exactly a massive margin, but definitely something that Godby's going to take here, as neither of these mid laners have headed back to base just yet. Fan able to clear out these minions now, as well as Flame is making his way back towards this top side of the map. Haven't seen much out of TBQ just yet. He's just been power farming this one out, as Swift has made his presence known just a little bit more.
It certainly suits TBQ. He's not known necessarily for his early game ganking. He was able to dodge a lot of pressure situations with the advent of the 2v1 meta and just PYL's proficiency to make up for the lack of ganking from the jungler and just show up and do his thresh roams and be perfectly happy in that situation. Definitely more apt at the power farming route, and it suits him in this particular lane swap situation.
Yeah, and speaking of which, getting suited in the lane swap situation, Imp able to take down his turret already, and if Tristana wants to do anything now in her current form, it is destroy structures as often as possible, and that explosive shot really doing some work there. So Imp able to draw first blood as far as the towers are concerned, and in fact LGD now with a decent advantage here as far as the money's concerned.
And that's kind of, we're struggling to find an identity for Tristana after a rework. She went from a champion who was basically the perennial late game carry, a reset jump for the escape, had the ability to knock people away and then just smash people down from 700 range. A lot of those things have changed. Now has very good late game single target damage, but has to kind of choose one target with the double scaling of her explosive shot and the rapid fire. Early game is the big change. Not so much about the burst level 2, level 3, Tristana alley lanes of 2010, sadly, but much more about bursting down turrets. Her turret pushing game is pretty much unparalleled from the AD carry role, right next to the likes of, say, a level 7, level 9 Jinx or just a Sivir. Yeah,
well, I was thinking about the Jinx in that situation. Of course, minigun fantastic for taking down turrets, and the fact that Tristana does it a little bit better is terrifying.
Safer for sure.
Yeah, precisely. So Imp utilizing the power of Tristana here as QG are going to be going for this dragon towards the bottom side. Imp going to be continuing to destroy structures, as in fact V is up there trying to defend that one out. Swift and TCT are going to be able to take this one down, albeit a little bit slowly.
But LGD really smart in playing around this Hecarim, who's just picking up a little bit of farm, but has no answer to all his turret pushing. The dragon.
Yeah, Godby actually going to flash over here as well. That's going to be very, very dangerous. 2 kills already picked up. Flame now finds himself in the back of the pit after the teleport, but he's going to have to get out, as they are going to pick up the top turret. But man, Godby, I'm not sure what that flash was supposed to achieve.
And the shot calling problems continue for LGD. The one thing I wanted to talk about before that Action Atlas is that they're playing around the Hecarim. They've got 2 outer turrets because Hecarim has no resistances in that case. Throw Tristana in the mid lane next to Cassiopeia. Take a 3rd outer turret to get the outer ring down at around 10 minutes. Crucial factor there is that Morgana in a short lane puddle and can leave. Suddenly Morgana, with no turret to retreat to, has nowhere to run to, and there's a lot of kill pressure. Just take out that third outer turret, and suddenly the Morgana pick doesn't even provide the value that it did in game 1. But needlessly giving away 2 free kills, it delays that spike, if not losing it completely.
Yeah, and Doinby actually going to be picking up the Chalice here as well. So now with a little bit more magic resist in this lane, Flame going to wall up these minions after missing yet another cannon creep, which is very difficult to see, but does still control a whole lot more minion wave control. He's picked up far more CS. Godby going to pick up the blue buff though, and he's going to be able to relentlessly poison people out here as Imp is going to find TNT, uses the ultimate, in fact, wasn't able to, of course, was on cooldown, but flashes and heals in order to get the movement speed.
All LGD need to do is get some aggressive wards and take this outer mid lane turret. That's their big win factor that they could want to do in the next 3 or 4 minutes. But I mean, Tristana can just recklessly push in the bottom lane. Flame's doing just fine. Actually has the Balmy Cinder. Looks like it's going to be the Sunfire Cape first, which is a blast from the past in terms of these Gnar items. It's not going to be the Black Cleaver for the dueling. It's not necessarily going to be the Randuin's Omen for the strongest team fight armor item, but going for a little bit of both.
Yeah, and I like to think the fact that, you know, the Black Cleaver or the Frozen Mallet going to be the laning items of choice. Randuin's going to be, of course, the team fighting item of choice.
For the laning.
Yep. Well, exactly, precisely. That's what I just mentioned. And yeah, decides to go with halfway in between. I like it. And a little bit more early game power here as well. In LGD, they know that that's where they're going to be strong.
I mean, the only downside to me is that you're guaranteed going to push, so maybe it's Hecarim picking up a bit of extra farm compared to Frozen Mallet or Black Cleaver for damage options. V is overextended, but he has ultimate. He'll be fine.
Yeah, he will. Does have that Smite available as well, but doesn't quite have a jungle item just yet, so can't use that to deter TBQ whatsoever. V going to clear out some tunnels as TBQ is going to get his back stopped here a bit. Does have a decent amount of levels here on this Rek'Sai, equal with the top lane. Is Imp going to continue to relentlessly push out these minions. You can see that TNT does have a decent control on his minion waves as well. I mean, he's managed to pick up as much farm as he possibly can. Avarice Blade now completed as well, so definitely opting in to get as much gold as possible, sort of saying that, yep, I'll just kill the minion waves that you shove into my face, Imp. That's absolutely fine.
It's still very different game plan, game on game here from QG. We saw them play very assertive, smart diving League of Legends, controlling objectives, and now kind of having to seed lane control, already losing 2 turrets, playing around their Hecarim who's been preyed upon and rotated around. They're lucky that they haven't seen Tristana in the mid lane for that 3rd outer turret, so they're still getting some semblance of a laning phase, and they have the first dragon, but it'd be interesting to see whether QG can lose the minimum, come back into games. That's certainly been a skill that few teams in the LPL have been able to pull off. If they can pull that off, they're going to have to be talked about as one of the front runners for at least a playoff spot. But if they just fall away, then we're going to have to be left to wonder whether good on the front foot, not so much on the back. We don't have an answer either way, but that's kind of the big question that will be answered throughout the course of this game and the early weeks of the LPL. Yeah,
and questions will be raised about this Morgana mid lane here for Doinby as far as sort of the champion pool that this new player is going to bring to this team. But look, it just might be something that they've considered for the later stages of the game, wanting to make sure that TNT has as many spell shields as possible. Not entirely sure. It is still very much early days here for QG.
Yeah, it raises a lot of questions, as you mentioned. Is it just, I really respect Godby as a player and I need to play a super defensive champion? But the question is then, where do you draw the line? Shouldn't you respect Pawn? Shouldn't you respect Rookie? You know, at some point, you're talking about half the league in terms of mid laners you respect. So it doesn't feel like a mid-Morgana crutch is something you want to have. But again, it was still very early days. They've already taken a win off LGD. There's a lot to be excited about. It's just, we always want to know a little bit more about these things. We know so far what their comfort is this relentless aggression they pulled off with aplomb.
Yeah, and you can't question it if it works as well. I mean, the fact that QG managed to pick up that first victory means that there must be something working out for them as far as this mid lane Morgana is concerned. And you can see already Doinby able to keep up in farm, is now taking away the wolves here as well, and is reaching the item timings effectively.
Hey, look, he's doing just fine. They haven't been able to rotate around it. LGD haven't shown a priority to take this outer mid turret that seemed like the smart go. You take that turret, suddenly you have flank wards aplenty for Mega Gnar to rush in and get a massive Gnar ultimate against a wall. If you let Morgana just happily farm, you know, it doesn't really further the game plan. It doesn't get them closer to the next win condition if they just let this laning phase extend.
Yeah, it's true. And V now has his Cinderhold completed. both of these top laners able to burn the minions as the Sunfire Cape came through here for Flame as well. Of course, did already have the Barney Cinder there, so was already doing some considerable burning. Is Godby just going to throw out these Twin Fangs towards the minions as the outer turret going to eat all of those up. Imp now continues his push here on the bottom side, and both of these teams just more than happy to sit around in these current laning situations. No one really making any moves. 20 seconds now on the Dragon, and that might be where we get some action here on this map.
Look, an answering Dragon's not ideal for QG, but it's not a big deal. And remember, Sivir actually got a very early Avarice Blade, so probably has been piling on extra gold compared to Tristana. There's been no other variables. Has a kill and assist, but crucially got an early Avarice Blade, so the income trade. Okay, maybe Tristana does a little bit more late game damage, but it's not landslide between the two.
Whoa, Fan almost hitting that dredge line is now going to look to try and clear out some wards. Ooh, slight miscommunication there as TBQ and Fan going to both throw a ward over that wall. But definitely going to have vision.
Definitely might be a metaphor for this particular series.
May certainly be. Oh, TBQ looking for Doinby though, but Black Shield is going to stop the knock-up from coming through. And V just continuing to try and eat as much of this farm as possible. Has caught up quite well here against Flame in the top lane.
Flame's definitely going to have a CS advantage. It's one of these situations where, I mean, Hecarim should probably be backing because it's the threat of Dragon coming through. Puts down a ward, maybe doesn't have enough gold for, say, home guard boots for this potential Dragon fight. But LGD, I mean, they had it on. They had so many quick turrets, like 7 minutes into this game, and then literally have done nothing and allowed the Avarice Blade investment banker Sivir to really become more and more relevant. They just pressed the pause button with no provocation.
Yeah, and the finances coming through from TNT definitely going to be working out here as Godby making his way towards yet another Dragon. Thankfully, it's his own team that's going to be hanging around this one. LGD looking to try and answer back there as TCT going to make his presence known. The Qiao looking to try and get something going on as we do have the Dragon locked down here by TBQ. Flame makes his way in as well. That Narbar's looking fantastic as he bounces his way right into the middle of the fight. There's the explosive cast for just a little bit of disengage, and now Imp putting the pressure down onto TNT, who just uses his ult defensively, and LGD, big power play, secures the Dragon and means that QG, not going to be able to do anything.
There's actually a big mistake there. V cancelled his teleport right at the end, despite the fact that Flame was coming through. So he has the cancel teleport. He wasn't able to impact the fight. Bought the home guards, but couldn't get there in time. No kills, crucially, so it wasn't a massive misplay from V, but it was an unforced error.
Yeah, Doinby actually going to find a minion there with the Dark Binding, so Godby going to be very much safe. Also had the cleanse available as well as the flash though, so probably wasn't going to lose too much of his health bar as TBQ just going to take away these wolves. And the blue buff is going to be answered here. So Doinby going to continue pushing out this wave. Does already have the distortion enchantment on those boots, making sure that teleport and the flash are going to be available as much as possible. And Morgana with flash is definitely a more scary proposition than without in any sense, because of course the aggressive potential of that summoner spell with the Morgana is just brilliant.
Absolutely. It's pretty much analogous to Annie, for example, in terms of those big initiation plays. Okay, you still have a long-range initiation, especially if you have a vision advantage of throwing out the Dark Binding from, say, a place without wards. But in terms of team fights, it's all about flashing in for the 5-man, the 4-man Soul Shackles. Yeah,
and just forcing the enemy team to get out of the way for that one as well. So Imp going to continue pushing this wave, but we'll see whether Doinby can pick up his Zhonya's and really make something happen here on this Morgana, because I want to see why he keeps picking it.
Yeah, I mean, I believe he's just gone back and bought the Seeker's Arm Guards. It's still quite a long way away from the Zhonya's pickup. That'll be a lot more crucial. It's a good way to lock down Cassiopeia, of course. It doesn't like being aggressed upon. TCT.
Yeah, Imp, though, doing a whole lot of damage here to the Qiao. The explosive shot is going to go off. Of course, Unbreakable Will wasn't popped there for TCT, so going to have still a whole lot of damage soak available. But it is now going to be that mid lane outer turret getting taken down very, very low. Look at the explosive shot doing so much work. TNT able to get that boomerang across the team in order to get Imp away from the turret, but you can see LGD, they really want to take this one down.
This is definitely something that should have happened minutes ago, 5, 6, 7 minutes ago, but they will eventually take out the third hour turret, and there's the engage.
Yeah, there's a dredge line under TNT here as well. It does have the black shield, but it's gone now as Impy's going to jump forward. Unbreakable Will, there's the Gnar from Flame, but he's going to fall down for it as QG are so incredibly low. Swift flashing forward, picks up Godby, the double kill as well, as Im's able to answer that one back. Tristana really wants to find his way back into this game, but TCT so low. Siva picks up a double kill as well. Imp, the last man standing, uses the rocket jump to get out of the way of the Dark Binding, and QG, that team fight was beautiful.
It was a huge misplay coming through from TBQ, re-engaging 1v4 and dying instantly. Wanted to pick up one exit kill. It was never going to be able to kill the Siva. They lose the turret. Big mistake from LGD.
Yeah, and Flames Nara as well, getting all of QG to relative safety underneath there in a turret there as well, just before that attempted re-engage.
He got the stun under turret. The big issue was that the explosive cast bounced him and he took about 5 turret shots before he could actually get out. So he died in vain. There was no follow-up damage, no dive potential because of course Cassiopeia wasn't at that side of the fight. So just an awkward engage. So we'll watch the replay coming through. Flame gets bounced into turret with aggro. Wait for the churn. He actually gets a really nice null. It's a 3 null, man.
True.
But everyone's away from the Cassio. She loses damage because suddenly she's lost the poison and dies to some autos coming through in the back line. But wait for this re-engage from TBQ. Don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, actually flashed forward to try and pick up TC2. It was incredibly low, but did make sure that the rest of LGD were definitely going to die.
But the one-for-one trade between picking up the support and dying ostensibly to either the AD carry or the mid lane, it's not ever a trade you want to opt into.
No, not so good.
Maybe he just misclicked the tunnel. I didn't actually see.
Hey, that could have been a thing.
That's sad days.
Yeah, TBQ actually managing to tunnel away from the Dark Binding there, as the Black Shield is going to make sure that no slong is going to come out of that boomerang. TNT continuing to farm up, does have a 5 CS advantage now, and that 2-item power spike here for Siva with the Static Shiv Infinity Edge. And 3-0 and 3 now, really putting his foot on the gas as far as getting to the item timings that he's looking for. And TNT has been very impressive. Picked up MVP in the last game and now again set to make things happen in this one.
I really don't like not picking up a laning item on Nara against Hecarim. I feel like you need an answer, whether it's the Frozen Mallet or the Black Cleaver first. Sunfire doesn't really do anything for him in the 1v1. If anything, it pushes the minions in for Hecarim to just pick up a free wave. It doesn't hurt in the trading. We've seen last season Frozen Mallet Nara really unsettle a Hecarim, and then Black Cleaver Nara basically obliterates Hecarim in lane.
May as well pick up them both.
But then now you get this scenario where basically Hecarim matches farm with a Nara in the late game. I'd probably take Hecarim in terms of reliable engage.
Yeah, TNT though is going to pop the ultimate. Nice double stun there from Flame, who's able to get the wallop off as well. But Crush not going to quite get him enough distance here, as the flash forward from TNT going to lock down the kill.
He draws the flash, but that's the maximum he's going to get. Easy pickings coming through from Flame. It's far too overextended in this situation. It's only a kill, but they should take the outer turret and top, so probably a good trade.
Yeah, V going to be able to lock that one down. They clear out the vision around the Baron here as well. Although it has just spawned, QG were thinking about it, but decide that no, probably a little bit too early.
TBQ, of course, has Void Rush, so can get away, is able to defend the top. They've been very slow in picking up turrets, as we expected, given the fact that LGD had 2 in the first 8 minutes. Picked up the first one in the mid lane. Just want to start getting that guaranteed gold. Speaking of guarantees, take a second dragon.
Yeah, very, very easily done here, as well as TBQ did make his way back down towards that red buff. TCT might be in a little bit of trouble now, as he does pop the ultimate. Godby with a whole lot of consistent damage, able to get a lot through there, as well as Flame teleported in. They really want to pick this one up. Onslaught of Shadows, though, as Godby is going to get exhausted. Petrifying Gaze, wrong direction. Beautiful use of the Seraph, so keeps him alive for a little bit longer. Imp right into the back line, just destroying this fight. Rocket jumping around, flashes over here as well, but V able to get in his face. Double kill now available on top of Swift. Locks down the kill here as Swift just falls over, and Flame tries to crush his way through, does lock down that kill as the Rampage is able to come down, and the ace secured here for QG.
What a team fight coming through. My monitor fell over in excitement.
Ridiculous.
But it was just crazy stuff. I thought that Tristan had made a big mistake because Imp wasn't auto-attacking much at the start of the fight, but then the positioning came through. So much repositioning with the rocket jump. Got exit kills, specifically assassinated the Siva, doing his best LeBlanc impression on the Tristana. It looked like the ricochet damage was going to take down the team, but was within inches of winning that fight as Tristana. So smart play from Imp. but just the power levels, and again, mid-game Morgana still very relevant.
And Swift played it beautifully here as well, but let's have a look at the replay.
So TCT got the 4-man engage, and they had the teleport first. Remember, Nas not in the fight yet. They take out Godv very, very fast, or at least he's super, super low in this fight. But Imp gets the assassination onto Sivir in his own way. Smart reposition, but has to flash over to get the last auto onto Doinby. Gets onto Swift, but gets...
Man.
The dangerous game prop was massive in that situation. So trying to open up distance, there was the chilling smite wasn't enough, and they did pick up the kill in the end as TNT now takes the outer turret. Team fight win, outer turret. Things piling on for QG once again.
Yeah, things looking fantastic. And you have to hand it to Swift. Body slamming Imp out of the rocket jump to negate the damage and make sure that he wasn't going to get anything done was just incredibly beautifully done.
And this is what we've been told to expect from Swift.
Yeah.
We saw him on CJ Enters Frost in 2014. He was a rising star of the jungle. In the LSPL, may not have had the same competition as the LPL. There's going to be so many mouth-watering jungle matchups, even just in terms of Korean junglers among the LPL, but doing a great first showing. And it's TBQ once again. No PYL, no TBQ when it comes to big teamfight impacts.
Yeah, TBQ almost has his Warmog's armor completed as TNT going to take a Prey Seeker, not opting into using his spell shield just yet, but of course does have a little bit of lifesteal, so he's going to be A-okay. Flame now on the bottom side of the map, just trying to clear this one out as V is hanging around, looking to possibly put on some more pressure.
But V can do whatever he wants, and there's no kill pressure from Flame, which means that Hecarim is 20 CS up. He's basically running rings around the Gnar. When we've seen a Gnar obliterate Hecarim earlier today, you have to go for one of those laning items, whether it's the Frozen Mallet or the Black Cleaver. If you go for neither, this is the result, is that you just get outscaled.
Yeah, well, it's already happened here as well. V hasn't even decided to go for a damage item just yet. Does have the Spectre's Cowl now, possibly going to be turning it into that Spirit Visage. Make sure that Spirit of Dread is going to be as effective as possible in the middle of these fights. There's the Kindle Gem, so almost going to have sort of that trio of defensive items here on this Hecarim towards the 30-minute mark, and it's going to be very, very frightening here for LGD because it's going to be so hard to kill that guy.
And it's Sivir Hecarim. They always have excellent synergy with the On the Hunt, giving him damage scaling as well. It's going to be in the front. Isn't going to die anytime soon, as you mentioned, with all those tank items. TBQ going in aggressively.
Yeah, there's the double knock-up here as well. Flame making his presence known in the middle of this fight. There's the depth charges. Swift is getting the aggression. Imp is going to get exhausted by TCT, but V now in the back line. Look at all of the damage here as the Gnar does get QG back into this one. Doinby takes down Imp as well. Swift here on the backside of this fight, but LGD, they're able to pick up a couple of kills. Godby now on the backside, able to get some Twin Fangs out. TNT going to fall down. Doinby now going to possibly fall as well as the Black Shield's Dark Binding not going to find anything, and it is now going to be a face-off of these mid laners. Godv, though, probably going to be able to get this one. Flashes over the top of the Dark Binding as well. Twin Fangs going to find Doinby. There's some more poison. And Godv with the outplay.
What a quadra kill from Godv. This was the difference. They couldn't get onto Godv. They couldn't CC and wombo him down. The outplay flashing over the Dark Binding was majestic. Going to get damage onto this inner turret. Very nice play from Godv. They definitely need to account for the Cassiopeia because the consistent damage, it's not just the Tristana. Cassiopeia is right up there next to him.
Oh, most definitely. Able to back away here as well, although he was sitting on top of a ward. V doesn't quite have that Spirit Visage just yet, but you saw the Hecarim was able to make a massive impact in the back line of that fight. But yeah, if you can't get on top of Godv, that's what he can do to a team fight.
And that's the thing about LGD's position. They need to be separating both Tristana and Cassiopeia. Usually you like Cassiopeia fighting around a hyper carry, but in this situation, you've got Onslaught of Shadows, you've got the Gragas ultimate. We're going to see the replay coming through. So they actually make really good out of this QG, because remember, it was LG that had set up this particular fight. They go into the fight, watch for the kill by Doinby onto Imp with just the Dark Binding, just kills him in melee range. He thought this fight was over. Godv healing up in the backline, fighting around, poking around. The health bars very, very healthy on TNT, but he starts to get poked down. Finally, the poison registers, and just with the low health bars, able to outplay very easy. So much sustain coming through. Eventually, we're going again.
Yeah, straight back into another fight as TNT takes down TBQ. This one's going fantastically for QG. As Flame, he's right in the back of this one. The wallop does come through, but QG again with a beautiful mid-game fight and straight onto that Baron. Triple kill now for TNT. Picks up the ace, and I don't know what we just came back into, but QG definitely turning that one around.
It was triple kill into a quadra by the end, but as you mentioned, we went straight into action in basically the same part of the map. Obviously, the fight for vision around Baron had gone completely off the rails, but another team fight went this time much more decidedly. Undoes a lot of the good work of Godvi in the previous fight, and Cassiopeia without Flash versus Cassiopeia with Flash, you can get that assassination between the Heckler and Onslaught of Shadows, the Darkbind, and even just TCT going mad with the combo.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, and QG just really utilizing the Morgana really well as well. They're fighting in a clump, and the Soul Shackles is doing so much work.
It's the difference in a fight where Morgana doesn't get a clumped Cassiopeia and a Tristana, and when she gets both those targets, that's always the case. If she can walk in unassumedly, throw the Black Shield on herself and just ult 5 people, it's going to be very, very strong in the mid game. No Locket being rushed. The lack of Locket priority, especially from TBQ, is a head scratcher, to be honest. One of the best ways of dealing with burst damage and Morgana in general is that Locket, but no one's looking to make a beeline for it. Maybe Fam, it's going to be a slow Locket from support.
Yeah, well, it's true, and very selfish items to come through from TBQ. Does have the Warmog's armor, so he himself is going to have a whole lot of resist, but there's no Frozen Heart. He does have sort of that Sightstone, but I mean, that's about all he's offering to the team here on top of his damage and tankiness as far as soaking it up. It's ludicrous
that you compare junglers, and both of them are against 1 magic damage lineups, and the team against the Cassio has the Locket before the team against Morgana. Morgana's only got burst. Once the burst is gone, really contributes not very much in a fight, has very long cooldowns.
Yeah.
So the Locket would be doing so much work. The Warmogs, though, it's a head scratcher.
It certainly is. And Phage now completed here from V. Now moving the Baron buffs towards the bottom side of the map as Devastating Charge going to be used just to get some extra work done to this turret. And QG, you have to say, what they're fantastic at and what they've demonstrated so far is their use of a Baron buff is beautiful.
And the team fight is really good as well, but you're right. It's hit the nail on the head is that when they pick up the Baron, they rotate well, they prep their lanes well as well. Their side waves have been pushing in great fashion. LGD, they've got no answers.
Yeah, and you can see TNT able to get some free hits on this turret, and as the Sivir, not exactly the most range in the world, able to get some free time, and it just shows exactly how this team plays and how well they play around their carries, getting into the right positions. Darkbinding going to go a little bit wide there under TBQ as Fan tries to throw down whatever CC he can, but that inhibitor turret going to fall down. Darkbinding not going to find the mark, but even the puddle's doing some work here from Doinby. The inhibitor goes without any response from LGD.
LGD had the tonic in the early game, took 2 early turrets. All Hecarim could do was watch. They were playing very smartly around that, but not having any offensive items means that Hecarim just got the free farm, got to the point where he was unkillable. Teamfights were always going to be pretty competitive, but the rotations in the early game were always going to suit LGD. It's so much harder to out-rotate and pick up turrets in the late game. Remember, they still only have 3 turrets when they had 2 turrets down 8 minutes into the game. You're talking about a Sivir comp, always going to be excellent at rotating as that cooldown gets shorter on the ultimate. Now hit level 3, of course. All those options. If they had taken a 12-minute in a turret or earlier, I think this would have been a completely different game. But they never got the flank ultimates, which means the team fight purchases from Flame in particular are a bit of a head scratcher because they never got flank ults. They didn't have aggressive wards to get the big team fight wins. And then he was just left with team fight items against a team that's just winning fights and just rotating and picking up objectives. Yeah,
so the item builds towards the top side of the map here for LGD definitely not really working out for them so far. And QG looking fantastic as Swift, he's gone for sort of double utility items here with the Frozen Heart and, of course, the Locket of the Iron Solari. Multiple Frozen Hearts against Tristana is a fantastic idea. And Flame, I mean, he wants to be auto-attacking as well. It's doing work there at the same time.
A lot of Imp's team fight damage on Tristana is single target focus. You kind of need to mark and shoot a bit like Urgot is forced to with the Noxian Corrosive Charge, in that you get all these incentives for lowering your rapid fire and your explosive shot cooldowns if you focus one enemy. But when you're against, you know, Hecarim will dive in, then Gragas will dive in. There's so many different threats you have to respect that when you're changing targets a lot, it just doesn't work the same way. I mean, Cassiopeia is much the same. Poison mark targets go all in, but because they're both so fiercely all in against all the different displacement, much like LGD had the Terrify into the Gragas ultimate last time, it's what QG have, and it's just really cutting down Imp's damage despite having a very competitive score and a good CS value.
Yeah, and you can see, again, QG able to rotate around to this top side of the map, take the last inner turret down. 7 turrets now to 3 here in favor of QG. And I mean, this is a very similar situation to what LGD found themselves in the previous game, but now QG have a much better comp for this stage of the game. And you can see TNT, so many shields on himself.
And Nas trying to hold the wave in bottom, and all he can really do is build up rage because he has no offensive items.
Oh my goodness, that duck binding was huge. Nice knock up to try and save him, but it's not enough. He just gets launched at. TBQ gonna follow suit, and this QG lineup are massive. TCT spends some time underneath the turret, isn't bothered by it at all. Godby is still alive, but at half health now after one boomerang. Second inhibitor going to fall down here. And QG, what a fantastic debut into the LPL as Doinby just going to use that black shield, survives here, and Flame's going to fall. And man, Godby, he gets caught now a little bit here by Swift as there's the Petrifying Gaze to come down. Godby trying to answer this one as well as Doinby's going to come out of that Zhonya's Hourglass. Godby, though, just gets pulverized in every way. And TNT going to lock down the final kill. That's the ace. TBQ and Imp are going to be alive, but it's only going to witness the demise of the Nexus and a 2-0 victory here for QG.
And what a first 2 series for our LSPL promoted teams. 2-0 win for QG to complement UP picking up a win over Snake. Top ranking opposition is falling down in terms of points. Okay, it'll be a long season, but how much confidence will this give the QG lineup taking down the runners-up from the spring split in LGD?
Yeah, really looking fantastic. Of course, missing PYL here just a little bit, but you cannot take that away from QG. They looked brilliant in both of these games, and both of the team comps very, very different. They had different ideas of what they wanted to do when they had the power, but they utilized it beautifully.
And get excited about teams like QG and UP replacing a team like Energy Pacemaker that just always looked off the boil when it compared to the top teams. Suddenly, we're in a situation where 12 teams in the league, favorites are kind of going out the window, and everyone has the potential to upset everyone outside of maybe EDG being pretty damn good.
Yeah, they are most certainly pretty damn good. Of course, the winners of MSI there in Tallahassee. But look, we'll see whether any of these other teams can bring it to them. And let's have a look at a replay from that last game because, man, there were some pretty decent moments there.
There were some excellent fights during the course of this game. It's always worth watching the LGD carries because so much threaten them.
Oh, man.
You had to flash over the line, so he's not doing any damage whatsoever. And again, it's just millions of different types of CC onto multiple members. It's 5v2, 5v1 now at this point. There's nothing that can be done. This was just the reality of the fights, is that when you have positioning-based carries like Tristana and Cassiopeia in particular, a great Cassiopeia fight, Quadra kill, looked wonderful. But if your flash is down, especially, and remember, had to flash to pick up that kill over the Dark Binding, one of those massive initiation tools will register on the Cassio, and she'll die.
Yeah, V just managed to find him in the backline there, and of course, Cassiopeia could not do anything at all. It just really wasn't something that Godv really had a good time in. And when you've got these divers, when you've got all this displacement, I mean, it's not necessarily the champion you want to pick, but they were almost forced to first pick that one away.
And it's one of those situations where LGD, it's looking like at least 3 to 4 weeks with no PYL. I mean, unfortunately, it's reminiscent of a team they don't want to be associated with, Starhorn Royal Club, who never could field their lineup and then end up getting relegated. Not going to say the same thing for LGD, but after that last end of the season, they would have been thinking top 4's looking pretty good. Suddenly top 4 with a performance like that, it's looking quite a long way away.
It most certainly is, but ladies and gentlemen, it's a very long season. We'll see whether LGD can bounce back, but we still have one more series awaiting you. OMG going to be taking on Vici Gaming right after this break.